G'day, I'm David A. Elliott. Now, this video is going to cover a bit more than I originally expected because on Wednesday, the 2nd of June 2021, we had the unexpected and quite surprising development where Warren McCorriston's brother, David Allen McCorriston, was charged with other unrelated sexual assault charges. Now, I should emphasise here, they're only charges, so they're alleged offences. They're not proven. So I can't really say they're factual. They're just alleged, and the evidence needs to be tried in court. But anyway, this has resulted in the two brothers appearing at Newcastle local court on the same day for unrelated sexual assault charges. Now, I'll discuss the situation with David McCorriston towards the end of this video and also make a few comments and that sort of thing about the situation. But first, I'll go on with Warren McCorriston's appearance in court. Firstly, I'll start with the victim impact statements and how that has affected their lives. And then I'll go on to talk about Warren McCorriston, who took the stand, and a lot of it was stating his remorse for his actions. And there's also a bit of information on other accusations that were interstate and raised in court, which apparently they weren't supposed to be from the last hearing, but maybe they're not the same accusations, I don't know. But anyway, now there appears to be a lot more media attention this time, and I was able to find out quite a bit of information. To give you an indication of how the priorities jumped, the Newcastle Herald actually made reference to it at the top of page 1 to go to page 3, where they actually had a full page article on Warren McCorriston's offence with a side column about his brother. But I'll start by reading you a bit of an impact statement from one of the victims that is quoted in the Newcastle Herald. A victim of Warren John McCorriston says her attacker was a predator who preyed on her and took her freedom away as a young woman. In a victim impact statement tendered to Newcastle District Court during McCorriston's sentencing hearing on Thursday, the woman wrote that the now 60-year-old's actions had left an immeasurable mark on my life. McCorriston stalked the woman when she was a teenager, grabbing her on one occasion at Redhead Beach, causing her top to come off. The article then quotes her actual statement. The physical confrontations and the relentless stalking contributed to me withdrawing from life and my friends. Then and even now, the woman wrote in the statement. I never talked about it to anyone, not my family, nor my friends. I tried to block it forever. Something always triggers the memory. The sight of a single red rose is one. If I hear footsteps behind me, I go into a blind panic. If I see a car drive past me slowly, I become anxious. If I get a phone call and no one speaks, I feel pure fear. I found another article online on the ABC website which gives another perspective on this same victim's impact statement, plus a little bit about the other two victims. So I'll read you from that. McCorriston attacked his first victim when she was 17. The court was told she was stalked and grabbed from behind while walking to the old Newcastle train station in Hunter Street. He also grabbed her while she was at Redhead Beach with friends. In her victim impact statement, tendered in court and obtained by the ABC, The woman described her innocence being broken. 40 years ago, I was a young, innocent, 17-year-old girl who had just started to venture out from the safety and security of my parents' home, she said. I was too naive to understand that society back then held a dark side, and within that community, predators lurked. I was unfortunate enough to become a victim of one. You were that predator, and I was your prey. You took my freedom away. The physical confrontations and the relentless stalking contributed to me withdrawing from life. My innocence and vulnerability will forever be tainted by you and your actions. In 1981, he struck again, dating his second victim. The court was told he was initially smooth and attentive, but began to become violent. McCorriston also started a relationship with a third woman he met at a disco at the Gosford Bowling Club on the New South Wales Central Coast. The court heard he also forced her to have sex against her will. The article then continues with the heading, quoting Warren McCorriston, "I am remorseful." But in his sentencing submission, Crown Prosecutor Hamish Fitzharding said he doubted there was any hope of rehabilitation. McCorriston took the stand and rejected that, while he turned to his victims and apologised. To all three young ladies involved, I offer my most humble apology. I am remorseful, and I am remorseful more so for the fact I impacted on them. They did not deserve to be treated in that manner. I hope that goes some way to allow them to move on. He went further in relation to one of the three women. He said he was in a 35-year relationship with. It is due to her I ceased being a very immature man, very much a delinquent who was on a path to nowhere, he said. Through her support, it allowed me to find a career path and a purpose in life. Now, an AAP report that was given in Yahoo News, also online, actually continued on from there, where he says, I owe her so much more than I can ever repay her, McCorriston said. Questioned about a psychological report indicating McCorriston would require further therapy, he replied, I would welcome it. Defence barrister Paul Rosser QC said McCorriston stopped his offending after his then partner's young daughter walked in on him during one attack. Mr. Rosser said McCorriston denied recent claims by three prostitutes in Queensland that he had failed to pay for their services, had been controlling and rough during sexual encounters, and committed assaults between 2015 and 2018. McCorriston also denied sexually assaulting one of the Queensland women when overseas. Now, I remember in one of my early videos, I did mention that he had been making some appearances in court on the Gold Coast, which, from the bits of information I could pick up, were also sexual-related offences. So I don't know if it relates to these accusations or not, but perhaps that's where that came in. Also in my last video, I did mention that the court was considering interstate accusations and whether they should be part of the hearing. And it was said that they shouldn't be. But there are these accusations, so I can only assume that somehow there must have been a decision to admit them, or there could be something else. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a little interesting note there. It then says he will be sentenced on June 25. So hopefully that is the date when we get the final sentence, and we'll know what he's in for. Now we come to David Allen McCorriston. And I was quite surprised because on Thursday, the 3rd of June, I knew Warren McCorriston was appearing in court. So I watched the local television news, NBN television, and they mentioned a David McCorriston appearing in court on sexual assault charges. And I thought, McCorriston's the same name. It's a very uncommon name, so did they get the name wrong or not? But they mentioned a bit about it and it was obviously not the same thing, but they mentioned nothing about Warren McCorriston, so I thought that was a bit weird. But anyway, when I looked into it, yep, it's his brother. And I'll start off by reading you the Newcastle Herald's account of what we have on his brother. Man in court on child sex charges. A man charged over alleged historical child sex offences in the Hunter region has faced court and will remain behind bars until the matter is next mentioned. David Allen McCorriston did not apply for bail during his brief appearance in the dock at Newcastle Local Court on Thursday morning. Mr. McCorriston was arrested at Belmont about 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday and charged with a raft of historical child sex accounts. They included 6 charges of sexual intercourse with a person aged between 10 and 16 years old, 4 counts of an indecent act against a person aged under 16, 2 counts of indecent assault of a person aged under 16, and 1 count of aggravated indecent assault of a victim under the age of 16. The charges relate to 2 alleged offences against 2 teenage boys between 1987 and 2007 at Lake Macquarie and on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. The 56-year-old remains in custody and will face Belmont Local Court via audio-visual link on June 7, which is Monday, so I may make a short video about that. I'll also read you another article that was put online by the Daily Telegraph, which gives you a bit of a different perspective and a bit of additional information on this matter. David McCorriston, charged with child sex offences. Brother Warren pleads guilty to unrelated charges. A man has appeared in court charged with 13 child sex offences, while his brother faced sentencing for unrelated charges 2 floors up. David Allen McCorriston, 56, did not enter a plea or apply for bail in his first appearance at Newcastle Local Court on Thursday. He did not speak as a lawyer made arrangements on his behalf. McCorriston from Belmont was taken into custody by Strikeforce Arapaima detectives on Wednesday and charged in relation to the alleged sexual assault of 2 boys between 1987 and 2007. The charges include 6 counts of sexual intercourse with a person aged between 10 and 16, 4 counts of committing an indecent act, person under authority, 2 counts of sexual assault, indecent assault, person under authority, and 1 count of aggravated indecent assault of a person under 16 years old. McCorriston will remain behind bars ahead of his next appearance in Belmont Local Court on Monday. The allegations came to light as the strike force investigated his older brother for unrelated charges. So before I begin making comments, I'll make it very clear that David McCorriston has only been charged with these offences. He has not been found guilty, and they're only alleged at this stage and need to be tested in court. This is unlike his brother Warren McCorriston, who has pleaded guilty, so we can say that he has actually committed those offences and is now undergoing sentencing for that. So we do know that Strike Force Arapaima is still undertaking investigations into the disappearances of these girls in the late 70s and Gordana Katevsky in 1994. It does appear that they haven't gotten to the point of being able to take action in relation to any of these other disappearances, but it is good to know that they are at least uncovering other offences and bringing people to account for them. We have at least one person now who is about to face the consequences of his past actions. So we may not get the outcome of the intention of Strike Force Arapaima, but at least it is leading to results in other areas. Now, in my past videos, I have primarily focused on the disappearances of the girls in 1978 and 1979, but now that we have David McCorriston in the picture, I could understand that there might be more thoughts that the McCorristons could have been involved in the disappearance of Gordana Katevsky, because there was some indication that there was more than one person involved in her disappearance. So this latest evidence does seem to bring the McCorristons into the area of being persons of interest in relation to this matter and worth looking into perhaps by the strike force. Now, as I've said before in my previous videos, unfortunately, there were a number of other people of interest in relation to at least the disappearances of the girls in the 1970s. And a number of those appeared at the inquest in 2002-03. So unfortunately, there are just too many people with a similar background in sexual and violent offences, so I would dare say it's still too hard to narrow down to who it was, and perhaps it could have even been someone else that isn't in the frame yet. But as I said, David McCorriston's sexual assault claims are only alleged and still need to be tested in court before we can say one way or the other where he stands in relation to those from a legal perspective. Anyway, if you found this video interesting, you might like to look at some of my other videos, which includes quite a few videos over the last year or so on this particular topic. And you may like to look at some other videos I've made on other topics. If you do find them interesting, or perhaps you don't, but anyway, please subscribe and click on the notification bell to see my future videos, and perhaps they'll interest you more. You can also help support me in making these videos on Patreon. I'm David A. Elliott. Have a good one and see you around like a ristle.